So welcome everyone to our second Grant working group session. As many of you know, this was a working group created a couple of months ago, and since a lot of discussions raised again about BP distribution, grants program, the ways that DAO allocates, it was very important to resume these discussions and talk specifically and how could we improve. So I'm going to share my screen. I know if you want to evade, but the idea is to review again we worked last time, visiting the cards that we didn't visit last time, and after that, obviously, talk about next steps and the possible proposals that we could present as a community for improving the grants program as a whole. So with that said, I'll pass it to you, Ibai.
Yeah, hello everyone, thanks. Fede, I think you're cutting off a bit. Maybe the internet with the storm. Just an FYI.
Okay, probably. Well, I hope the OBS recorded that. But yeah, sorry for that. Just wanted to say that we're continuing the work that we did last time with this mirror board. eBay has reorganized everything based on the different verticals. And the idea is to move forward discussing these ideas, how to improve the grants program as a whole, and move forward with proposals if needed. That was pretty much all that I said. I'll pass it to you again.
Okay,
sorry.
Amazing, thanks. Yes, okay, does everyone has access to the mural? Is there anyone new here? Because otherwise I have to give access to our workspace. If you don't have access, please let me know in the comment section so I can give you access. And what basically we'll be discussing today is the accountability, revocation, and other proposals section. We did talk about some of the initiatives last time, and we got to a pretty good consensus regarding having a pre-selection committee, revamping some of the categories, and talking about strategic units, so strategic goals, for the DAO, and that should help us to have a grants program more focused towards those goals and with this pre-selection committee as well. Now, we might want to discuss about the accountability one. I've grouped those cards, of course. If there's any other cards someone would like to add, just feel free to do so or drop a comment. And maybe we can start with the first section of the cards that are related to metrics. This being what sort of metrics or KPIs should grantees be having when they have a grant, and how the grant support squad basically can leverage those metrics against their performance. There's actually a poll that recently passed regarding this need of having some standardized KPI and metrics for grantees, so that's a really good starting point. But I guess we can open up the discussion to see which metric would be suitable and fair with the grantees and the project overall. It can be active users, but we know we have a bot issue in some of the scenes. So just wanted to open up the discussion on this end. I don't know, Fede or anyone has any thoughts or comments regarding having metrics for our grantees and which those metrics should be.
Yeah, I think the discussion goes directly related with the categories, right? Obviously, each category, if we keep the categories that we have, will have its own performance metrics. And what we need to do is obviously define those performance metrics for those categories, if we keep them as they are. Again, one of the things that we discussed last time was, okay, should we keep these categories? Should we have one category, two categories, different tiers, whatever. But if we are going to work with performance metrics, we should be talking about specific projects or specific categories and which will be the metrics for them. So obviously, if we are going to talk about in-world content content creation, obviously one of the metrics, the first thing that comes here is the active users, and that's like easily bypassable. So we're talking about other performance metrics that could be taken into account for different categories. So that's kind of the way I would like kickstart these discussions. I'm not sure, to be honest, what should we do with each category, but I do believe it's important to start talking about this because there's a draft proposal for it. I see Sino is writing something. Anyone else that would like to join the stage or comment something in the chat so we can read it out loud? About metrics, obviously, it's the thing that we are talking right now. Yeah, but well, that's exactly what I wanted to say, right? We have the categories and we have the performance metrics. Should we first define what should we do with the categories, or should we first define? Well, first of all, we need to define what are we going to do with the categories. If we keep them, or if we make them disappear, or if we reshuffle and create new categories, and based on that, obviously, request for performance metrics. Because if we don't know what categories or which categories are we're going to work with, it doesn't make sense to discuss this. Sino, yes.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yep.
It's a good question. I believe that I don't know who will have the answer, or whether it's the community will have, but in my opinion, if the DAO has a category, that gives you a framework as a grantee to understand the requirements on what the community want if they want to fund your project, basically. So in my opinion, should be the category keeping, basically. What we can define after that is the performance metric, of course. Over the last 2 years, the big problem that we have, it was in the in-work content category. But I was doing a research with the Decentraland page, and I found that this. What is this that I share with you? Basically, now, a couple of months ago, the lands has new category. So we can do something to track the gaming or the people that are the playing scenes on the land. We can do it. We can do something with that. Basically, what I am trying to do now is I don't know if we can keep the talk. We can open the talk with the Atlas metric or DCL metrics, or because we are now requesting like how many active users do you have, no, in the grant. But maybe we don't have to use that. For example, what we can do is, okay, you are a gaming, so your land has the category game. Let's see what the foundation, for example, is tracking in those categories or in those lands. And that could be one example to have a good track of the data. But responding your first answer, I think that the requirements of the category should be like give you a framework to work, no? If you want to request a grant of platform or work content or the community experience, that is the new category, at least you understand what the community wants with that. So that is, regarding the question, is my answer, no? That the category should be on the grants program. If not, we will have like a big open category that nobody knows how to get information. It will be like more difficult to understand if the grants program is working or it has value to the Decentraland. Yes.
No, it's really great that you brought this here, because we obviously will keep maybe not as a category, maybe yes, but if we keep it as a category, it will be good to have what is the foundation tracking for that category, right? So if we have the inward content as you said, maybe we could have some subcategories or whatever, or tags for those grants to check what the foundation is tracking as metrics for them. That's a really interesting point of view, because for example, social media, that it's something that's being discussed if we should keep that category or not. For social media, the metrics are easy to track. I mean, it's not complicated. For platform, it's a different logic. And for other categories, the same, right? But for inward content, if we split it and if we break it down in subcategories, and we know and we decide what to track, will be an interesting approach. Thanks for bringing that, because it's important. If we're keeping categories as they are, like this breakdown could help a lot. Could help a lot to define those performance metrics. So let's assume we are, for now, keeping categories as they are, and this could be a good approach to break down the inward content category and define the metrics that we're going to take into account, or we're going to consider as performance metrics. It's an interesting approach.
Crypto trader, you were meaning to say something, so you were writing, but not sure. Otherwise, we can. Awesome. Yeah, I agree with Faye on the social media piece. I guess those metrics are rather standardized. So, great starting point. Okay, should we move to the next pillar? Okay, monitoring and transparency. These are sort of related to things we discussed the previous session as well. I don't know if you probably have more insights, but I think a lot of this is already being taken care of. The governance squad, there's, the worry or the topic of having public milestone, public budget execution and such. And I believe the governance page has already built in a lot of these.
Yeah, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Sino, but the next milestone public, this should be covered through the roadmap, as well as the same with these unified communication channels, all communications, updates, and everything. I think you're working and looking towards a unified model, if I'm not wrong, like with the public roadmaps, and me migrating them to the governance platform. Or unifying everything to avoid like duplicating efforts for the grantees, and at the same time for people to have one place to visit and to find all the information. If I'm saying something that's wrong, please correct me, but I know that you are working on that sense.
Yep, we are working on the web, as you mentioned, basically trying to not duplicate or triplicate the work for the grantee, to have the information in one place and to be easy to read it in some point, or easy to know the status of the project with one click. Some kind of overall, now that the process, for example, of bidding and tendering, you have like 4 stages, and you can see in which stages the bidding where is. So we are trying to do something like that. The first iteration of the project is try to migrate the public notion that we have into the Go app, and then we can start another conversation with the Go app how to iterate that. But at least this is the first MVP. I think that this will be starting to work in the next month.
Okay, great. Well, that covers pretty much everything here in these 2 cards.
Another thing that I want to mention regarding that is we are now collecting all the information regarding the financial report. So to start to see if there is any patterns there, and to give feedback to the go up. I know that the first feedback that we have, for example, and Shino is working on that, is now it's a blocker. If the grant couldn't release the money, they couldn't do the update. So that is like a blocker. We need to create the update or trying to post the update, whatever, if the grantee didn't release the money or not. No, because maybe they want to don't release the money right now. They want to release, I don't know, after the month 2. That is something that, for example, is working now. They go up.
Excellent. Another card that has been covered. So for our open budget reports, well, what we have now, what we have so far are these financial reports every month. I showed mine, our grant last time, and it's basically a spreadsheet, CSV file with expenditures and where the money has been placed and everything regarding the funds that have been spent that month. What we could do here, I'm seeing that it talks about hourly rates, server costs, commission prices, and everything. It will be good. I'm seeing this. Yes, I will invite you, crypto trader. I thought that you probably added this last time when we talked about the financial reports. This could be tackled in 2 different ways. As a prerequisite, when someone applies to the grant, should disclose the hourly rates, the server costs, and everything. That's a lot of people already do that. For example, in my grant, the hourly rates and everything, it's there stated, but could be also requested again as another iteration of this financial reporting in the Gov app for people every time they have to send their monthly updates to update or confirm these costs, these commission prices, these hourly rates. But yes, be my guest to add comments to that.
Yeah, thank you. I really think it should be both ways. I think at the beginning we should have full transparency on what we're paying for. And then also every time there's a budgetary update or any form of update that they're passing, they should have to put in these invoices. So it's like, I don't know how most other people run their grants, but I run mine as, basically a company, right? The money goes in and all of that money is allocated to the project and it has to be spent for the project. That's the only way that it gets spent. And that's on like resources, for server hosting, that's on development costs, that's on hiring contractors to do art, or if I need any form of maintenance or migration. If there's no money in there, then I'll still do the migrations on my own, right? Like I enjoy the programming stuff and maintaining my own stuff, but we need to see how that money is being spent. Like having a promise beforehand of like, oh, the servers are just going to cost $200 per year, that might not be true, right? That might just be estimates. You can't get a guarantee of server costs. So then we should be able to get these invoices. We need a place where they can actually put them in. If they're paying employees, we should be able to see that. If they're paying contractors, we should be able to have those contractor invoices. And it honestly needs to be more than just a Discord message, right? Like we should have a full understanding of this. If we're giving out hundreds of thousands of dollars to people in order to build these projects, we should be able to request full transparency from them.
Yep, the invoices thing was something that has been discussed. I totally think it should be implemented because, for example, I showed last time my grant update, and there were two subscriptions for tools that we use for social media and everything, and I have the invoices for that. I can share them.
Yeah.
On this platform, and make it a requirement. Should be something that everyone should do.
Yes, yeah. Because you could say that, you are spending $200 on servers, each month or whatever, or allocating funds for that. But you have to make sure that it's actually being spent in the proper way, right? Mm-hmm. We need to actually have the real invoices for both employment, external contractors or servers, and ensure all the money's being spent in the right way. And maybe even setting up like a secondary wallet so we can see the transactions going in and out. I know most of the people that I interact with in the space, I have to pay them through fiat in order to get things done. But that could be a thing as well, setting up a side wallet per project and observing the transactions through that, so there's no mixed money.
Excellent. Okay, this one was covered by Sina. The one for updates before the payments. Grant from improvement. Manual check prior to grant receiving next month of vesting contract funds to ensuring that month's work was complete. And this kinda is related with technical reviews every month, plus demos. So this is a nice to have, obviously, but we don't have currently the workforce for doing that. We do have the testing Tuesdays, and that's something that it's open for everyone. We have the check-ins with the Grant Support Squad to see if the project is healthy, if they need help, or whatever. But we do not have technical reviews. What we have are these testing Tuesdays. And to be honest, it doesn't come to my mind any solution that isn't like hiring someone to audit the code of the things that the grantees are producing. But if the one that's added this card, or if anyone here wants to share an idea about this, about how to conduct these technical reviews each month, will be nice. Oh, Sino just shared a proposal for that I believe it has been rejected, or
No, it was approval.
oh, it was approved. Okay.
Yeah. The thing there is we need to think like something or a flow, no, like a workflow where we can or where this board of technical experts or people or whatever could jump in. Mm-hmm. Because with the number of projects that we have now, it's easy to track, no? It's easy to say, okay, we have like a 1 monthly check-in, and then the technical reviewer will jump into the meeting, and the grantee will be request in X or whatever thing that he's doing during that month. But if we continue to funding projects, it will be really difficult in terms of information that we'll have, no? Like how many.
Yeah, I mean, it's a matter of workforce. I mean,
it's a lot of work, and I don't know if that gives you a lot of value. No, it's only like a friction for the grantee. So I want to push or make another view on regarding this. That, in my opinion, will be more easy if we can do like a check in the beginning of the product or the project, where the project is being funded, or this idea that we have at the beginning, that the pre-selections committee. And then if that pass, for example, we can coordinate or agree with the grantee during the project that we will have like a couple of check-ins, not a monthly check-ins, that maybe the project has a duration of 6 months. Okay, you will have like a check-in with the developer or technical or whatever at the mid, and then you will have a QA, maybe like a nice to have at the end of the project. And the last payment will not be released until you can pass that like a test. This is another thing that is really hardcore to do that. It's a lot of friction for people to come and request money. Remember that the ideology or the idea of the grants program, it's not like investment in terms of to have ROI. No, it's on something more. How do you say, like do you want to give you more value because we think with the grants program more users will come. It's not like a private company that I give you money and I will request you all the time something to give to me, like a monthly checking or whatever. I think that is the friction that we have now. Like the communities really wanted a lot of accountability and a lot of proof that the project is being doing. But we are not a private company. We are a DAO, and we have like this grants program that give money to the community to try to improve the thing.
Well, I do want to say that if we do end up getting a technical board, you can just assign projects per person. Like, you literally just open up the GitHub access, and every time an update is made, that person can have a look at it, because familiarizing yourself with the entire project is going to be difficult. But if you can see that they are doing consistent updates, that these updates do actually do changes, that, it's not just like they're saying passing an update every couple of days that just has update and there's nothing written in the summary, and you go into the code and they've changed the date of a file or whatever. As long as they aren't doing that, and the technical advisor is going in and looking at it and can see consistent work is being done, I think at this point where we are, we want to kind of reward effort as well as results with any sort of project, and we can do that through the open source as well. Like, you don't have to have somebody go through the entire project to see if everything is working, even if it's just open source. Then the community can self-audit as well and see if things are actually being done correctly. And then you don't have to do as much in the monthly check-ins, right?
Yep. I have a question for you, crypto trader. How do you manage if the goal is made versus the quality? Because one thing is the objective requirement.
Like, if the code is bad and unscalable, I've run into a lot of code bases like that. I think having something that is functional is worth something that is good, but having something that is scalable is better. And as long as it's all about picking your battles, right? Like, the first step is always the hardest. If somebody gets paid to build something and it doesn't work fantastically, like say they're building like a card game or tower defense or whatever, and it's not scalable, then somebody else can always go in there and fix it. But we've got a lot of smart people in the ecosystem, and I think if we open up these private code bases, a lot of these issues are probably already solved by somebody else. So if we get open source for like one project that's in development, and somebody in the community sees like, oh, I know another project that is also open source, and there is already a solution for this issue, then I can just hook this guy up to that idea, and that person will be able to process it and implement it and change what they're working on currently, right? So it's like you've already got the functional side of things working, you just have to make it better. You just have to optimize it. You move some code around a little bit, you change the architecture of it, and it's good to go.
Like it.
I really think it's a problem that sort of solves itself the more open we make our development environments, just because it's sort of like, scalable intelligence.
Yep. So in terms of, for example, in the platform category, what I understand is that maybe, for example, if the project has a duration of 12 months, we can do, by the technical expert, some kind of hard checking in the middle of the project and at the end of the project. And we don't care about the quality in some point, but yes, something that is functional. Then we can talk about if that could be improved by another or not. And what do you think about if this board of technical expert or this person should be, we have to pay to them, or we can give you a reward? How do you imagine this flow that can be work?
I don't think you need to pay people to do it. I think it should be sort of a position that if people want to be there, then they should get it. So like maybe you have a group of 3 people per each, one of them has a certain set of projects, but every project gets 3 technical advisors on it, or however many are there. And what their job is to do is not necessarily audit the quality of the code, but make sure that work is being done on it. Make sure that they are meeting some form of progression. So checking to make sure that they are either refactoring stuff to make it better or adding new features or stuff like that, without just sitting at a keyboard, doing nothing, right? There has to be some form of progression, and that should be observable through their commits to GitHub. Even if it's not open source, these technical advisors should have access to the code base. And then also, if they're like intelligent people, and they see that there are maybe like there is a lack of documentation, or there's an underlying flaw, or there's something that's not being done perfectly and it's already available somewhere else, and it's easy enough to point them at it, right?
Right. Perfect. We are thinking in something that you mentioned, so I'm excited to see people that are thinking in the same way that the Mexico is quite soon.
Yeah, me too. I mean,
Thank
we
you.
just presented the open source proposal, and this, well, what Crypto Trader just said is the spirit of the proposal, right? Modular growth, scalability, more transparency, issues being solved because there are solutions accessible to everyone. So that's kind of like the spirit, and this, I never seen this like a. I mean, I've seen this as a way of the community auditing openly, but thinking this in terms of professionals auditing this and being all available for the community is also a good approach. So yeah, I'm also happy that we all agree on this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and it's
something
like
that.
sorry,
Go
I
for it.
really
No, go
don't
for
think
it.
we have to pay for it, because even just providing the service is valuable to the individual. They can use it on their resume, they can use it in the community to show that they know what they're doing, to attract work, to get more projects, and it's sort of like a self-providing merit. Exactly, badges, yeah. I really don't think we need to pay for it.
We test this kind of technical expert. We pay them. It's not a private thing. It was public. We did it with the more than two projects, but the most important project was Decentraland X, this exchange that passed a couple months ago, and with another. What was the name? Okay, I don't remember right now. But really works because we have a report or somebody that knows or expert in the field, and that was basically our proof that the project is not working. Whatever the grantee say, because the grantee say something in the update, but then we went to the GitHub and we test the thing, and the thing wasn't working. So really work, but I believe that is a overview of the project after the grant pass. But if we have this pre-analysis previous that the grant pass, it will more. I don't want to use the word easy, but it will more. We will have more visibility of the expectation of what the expert had to check, for example.
Okay, so sort of like a pre-development viability plan then.
Yeah, some kind of that. Yep.
Yeah. No, it makes sense that you'd pay people for that.
Okay, well, we kind of covered the accountability part. Franco, Ibe, I'll pass it to you again.
Yeah, just the ones at the bottom, I guess, that were related to the pre-selection committee that we discussed on the previous round. But yeah, you can always check those out. But there are things that we've already discussed about why a specific grant or project should be considered for funding.
And this, sorry to interrupt, this is very important. This public goods concept is something that we are also introducing in the open source proposal, because, well, I personally think that this DAO should start thinking the grants program in terms of public goods, in terms of technology that could be used by anyone. And if anyone wants to create a game based on another game that has been already created, or a marketplace based on a marketplace that has been already created, should be able to do it. So this thing here, how usable are the outputs of the grant funded for others in the ecosystem? It's something that we should discuss. It's something that, like, for now, so far what we only said is, okay, we should start thinking in terms of public goods. I think we should have discussions about what's the scope of that. What are we expecting of that? And this is not only open sourcing stuff, but also creating products, creating technologies that are going to bring scalability and modular growth to the platform. That's the only thing I wanted to point out about these specific cards. Sorry for interrupting.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, going back to revocation, we also have some pillars based on how we group the cards. I guess the first section is also accountability related. Basically, some of the cards that we can read are saying that a revocation should happen if there's a late submit of updates, not following the original roadmap without any approval of changes, an overall lack of accountability. If we miss an update as well, so it's at the bottom. Someone just asked for more time, I guess. And then the last one goes that the main goal shouldn't change over the duration of the project, which I guess it's reasonable, but I don't know, Fede or anyone, do you have any insights on how this can contribute to the revocation process? Are these too strict? You know, if someone misses an update, that should be a revocation like right away, or is there some room, you know, for updating the roadmap? Or
In my opinion, this section of revocation could be about giving more tools to the Grant Support Squad and giving more tools to the Revocations Committee to act. This is my point of view. So far, what we have are these reports that any community member can send to raise an issue about a specific grant. For example, with the conflicts of interest that we are working on the Code of Ethics proposal for people voting on their own grants and everything, there will be another section in that, that form to raise issues about conflicts of interest. But I do think we should give more room, give the chance for identifying other issues. And here we have the example of late updates or incomplete updates. And this is something that happens a lot with the grantees. And that doesn't mean that they are not accomplishing their work, but at the same time, it's not okay. It's not good. Grantees not completing their updates or being overdue or not sharing information with the rest of the community. So I think making some of these reasons for the revocations committee to analyze as cases that can be revocated will be good. Because it will definitely increase accountability with the grantees. It doesn't take a lot of time to complete the updates. I know that my grant is not a technical one, so it's not the same, but it's something that the grantee owes to the community. Reporting and being transparent is something that the grantee owes to the community. So I do think that we should push for being more hard, being more expecting more reportability from the grantees. And if they do not do that, if they do not perform, if they do not share the information, they could be under the review of the revocations committee. That's my opinion. I don't know if anyone wants to jump in and say something about it.
Yeah. Submitting an update late or an update date should not be a cause of revocation or repulse, because the grantee could have any personal problems or the wallet could be hacked. There is a lot of implications there. And the update should be, if the update is completed or not, you can always request more information. The problem here is what information you can request. Because sometimes what happens is that the community start to, like a witch hunter, and start to request more information than the grantee said in the proposal. and that started like a process of harassment regarding with the guarantee that we need to put in the middle. We need to try to calm down. We need to find the best answer for all. So it's really some way complicated. In my opinion, it's because now we, and when I say we, it's the Grants Support Squad, we are being the gatekeeper of that information. So maybe we can do more things to automatize the thing, you know? This kind of, for example, if you promise to do the goal number one should be have like a 3 or 4 checks, and should be maybe on chain or something like that. That if that is complete, the update number 1, it's okay. I know it's an idea. I know that it's nice to have, and it's a long shot to create something like that. But the problem here, to synthesize, is what kind of information you can request to the grantee, and if the grantee didn't give you, why we start like a witch hunter to the grantee, no? Like here, this person does not give me this kind of information, so he have a lack of accountability. No, it's not that the requirement, the information that you are requesting, why the grantee should give you. Like, I don't know if it's the attorney speaking by me through me, sorry. But that is my opinion regarding what kind of information should we request to the grantee.
Okay, yeah. See, I personally think we should be harder, but I do respect your point of view, because that's something. Well, tell me about it. Moderating these conversations between community members and grantees and everything, it's not easy when it comes to unanswered questions or toxicity. Well, the things that we all know. But yeah, about asking the right questions about what can you ask to the grantee and everything, we should find a workaround for that, because maybe it's not 100% clear for the community. It's not even clear for me. I mean, I know that you can ask questions based on the scope of work of the grantee and the things that they are reporting. That's clear for me, but yeah, what's the scope of that? I mean, what can be asked and what cannot be asked, and what's the response time that we should be demanding from the grantee? So those are discussions that I do think we should bring to the table. But yeah, thanks a lot for bringing this. I really appreciate that you actually deferred from my position, so that's good. That's great.
I do think that being late in submitting an update or not meeting deadlines is definitely something that should set off red flags. And I think a lot of the toxicity that comes out of the community is due to frustration. I don't think it's people being mean for being mean, just to be a dick. I think it's mostly they look at it and this is community funding that has been spent. There's not really anybody looking into this. There's nobody doing anything. I need to do something about it. And then they decide to do something about it, and they're in a state of anger. They're not in a state of looking at, what can I do to help this meet success, because they might not have the tools to do it. So I think this is something that kind of relieving that frustration comes through making things more open source, allowing more people to have eyes on it, allowing more accountability from people in the form of we have a body that looks at this and properly observes it, is very open with the community, says these people did not meet their deadline within 3 days. You should have a reason of why they didn't meet their deadline. It could be they forgot about it. It could be personal issues or something like that. But it has to be consistent. There has to be consequences for people who do not meet deadlines and have basically ghosted the project, haven't worked on it for a month or anything like that. I have seen projects like that, and I think we have to be a lot more open with the community about that. Otherwise, we get frustrated, and people definitely get angry, and then they say mean stuff.
Yes, definitely. You're important to agree with that, crypto player. And it's really frustrating to us also, when I say us, it's the Grants Support Squad, because what I noticed is the community starts to be angry, no, be frustrating as you mentioned, but because the grant passed because of the whale, no, so it's like a revenge to that kind of votation period that it was really difficult, basically. So the community had to like walk around to revoke this grant because the whale voted. So the
Yeah,
problem
because
is,
they're looking for an excuse, right?
yes,
Because they
definitely.
didn't want it to
So,
get through, and then they're. I think we get rid of a lot of that if we show that it is a success. I think deep down, everybody who is here probably wants the platform to succeed, and if something is good for the platform, well budgeted, shows that it is, a successful project, then begrudgingly they'll probably just back down and accept it.
yeah.
Fede, you back?
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead. Just let me know what you want me to focus on.
No, I think just for the sake of time, because we are 10 minutes to an hour, but I guess the other pillar I think we should be discussing, of course, and this is probably more revocation, like without any doubt, it's the fraud. I don't know how the audit processes go, but right on top of it, above the collection, right there where it says fraud, like if there's any false documentation or something wrong with the accounting of the funds, but I guess it's also related to accountability, but on a more severe issue, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, that could be once we have the invoices or more documents that prove how are you spending, this kind of audits could become like reality. Right now, what we have again are those CSV files where I say, okay, I spent this amount of money in compensations, this in subscriptions, this in gas fees, whatever. We don't have the data now to audit this way, because what is fraudulent accounting now? What can we say is fraudulent accounting? I mean, if we like enter the updates, if we check the CSV files, and if we like enter and click on the transaction hashes, we can see if that happened or not. The thing is, what are we auditing? What are we okay, that transaction happened, but you don't know if that wallet is from the person that is like tagged there, is there in the CSV file. So it's not easy. Once we have the invoices thing, this could become a reality, but for now, I don't think it's something feasible. Like talking about fraud, right? Because we know that there is fraud, and sometimes people is not like as smooth as they think they are, but it's not easy to prove. So that's why I'm saying this.
Yeah, I think we can definitely get, like, as long as we're getting invoices from people and even statements, like most of them have phone numbers or contact details, so we can call any of them up and see if they're even real. One thing that I do want to ask is, like, what should anything be done past revocation? Because when somebody does defraud the DAO, like, what happens? What do we do right now? We just
Nothing.
Stop the grant? Yeah, exactly.
Nothing.
We don't do anything. And I think that kind of puts a billboard on us and says, like, free money here, maybe, ? Like, because there's no punishment for it. We don't know who we're even giving the money to, which comes back to the know your customer issue. Like, people should be comfortable with at least, someone in the DAO knowing that this money, this $100,000 is going out to, like, this specific person who is here, right? The general community probably doesn't need to know that, but we should have people knowing somewhere along the chain of securities that, this is a real human, right? And that they are capable of doing this.
Well, there are two things here. The first one is, I think we should totally penalize people that like defrauded the DAO or had a grant revocation. Well, that's something that I actually presented in a proposal, a recent proposal. about people addresses, wallets not being able to request a grant if they have been revoked. But we should think, and I think this is a matter of the code of ethics, we should think how to enforce this kind of stuff, like blocking them from like acting or presenting proposals or participating in, I don't know. We should totally like try to find a way for that. This limit grants resubmissions thing is a starting point. But yeah, it's complicated. It's complicated.
Well, I think that's difficult, and I don't think it should be relegated to just the crypto space. I really think that we should go with legal action against some of these people. Like, if somebody comes in and steals $100,000 from the platform and there's no legal action, there's no recourse for it, if you just get banned from the platform, you can just make a new account. You can just like generate a new persona or whatever and come back in. And these bad actors who are in here, there's no real way to get rid of people who are, acting poorly and, maliciously without basically taking a stick out and saying, if you do these things, if you play stupid games, you will win stupid prizes, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's something I was going to bring bring what Zeno just mentioned. We definitely need a legal entity for doing that. This is something that actually was raised by Lorlike a couple of months ago through a pitch proposal. I think it passed, so it won't be crazy like to start thinking it in terms not only about like being a legal entity per se, because we want to be a legal entity, whatever. I'm actually not sure if we should do that, but if we want to have like some kind of enforcement, we definitely need this as a base. The other thing that I wanted to say is that there were some ideas in the past about grantees doxing themselves, at least with the grant support squad or with the committees or whoever is in charge, like to adding this extra step for security. So at least being sure that you're sending DAO funds to a person or something. So
yeah,
that could be reviewed too. I mean, if you're going to receive 100K from the DAO, why aren't you like why wouldn't you dox yourself for like a security concern?
And I think without to touch on that again, it's like without having somebody actually do a proper know your customer, with how AI has gotten, like you can voice mod, you can change everything about you, you can do live voice calls and everything, nonsense like that. I really think we need to start setting a precedent where we do check these people as they're coming in, as they're requesting money from the community. If they're actually interested in this, in providing for the community, and they do want to build stuff, then it's only knowing that it's a real person, it's knowing who it gets sent to. And I do want to touch on we're not a legal entity. In the US last year, they set 3 precedents for going after people who defrauded DAOs, and they just treat it as a company. You don't pay, like you don't do tax or anything, but if you do want to go after somebody as a DAO and you do the whole thing for it, there's precedent for it already to seek legal action or recourse against people, individuals.
Nice.
Yeah, consequences, exactly.
Nice.
It needs to be done.
Okay, again, that's not easy, but it's great that we're having these discussions, and I think we should like resume that discussions about the legal entity and getting some external advisory for this. So we could talk about that later. Ibai, pass it again to you. Sorry for taking.
No, this is great, everyone. Yeah, I would also love to rate it, CryptoTerra, if you have the link or the new. That's an amazing present.
Yeah, all good.
Yeah. Okay, then we have the others ones, just a couple of those. I don't know, Fede, if you want to go over these. I think some of these are active polls already, or do you have anything else you want to talk about before we hit the 1 hour mark?
Let me quick check, but yeah, well, we have the revocations one, we have the self-voting one. Sorry, I'm going to visit the other proposals.
Yeah, just in the meantime.
This one has passed, and we don't have the draft proposal. This one has also passed, but well, it's basically, this one is not like a month trial, but at least having the first report, the first update before like releasing funds. It's something. It's a step towards this.
Can I actually touch on that one?
Yeah,
I
sure.
actually don't agree with that. It costs a lot of money to get projects started. Like the front for most of these projects, you're probably spending 40% at the first, 20% of a project. I think we can probably get around this by freezing it for a month if we do proper before acceptance planning, making sure we do like a validity study to know everything is good across the board, people have the skills to actually get stuff done, and we know who they are, so there is accountability there. I think as long as we're ensuring that we have mostly good actors there during the pre-selection process, that we probably don't need to hold these funds for the first month. That would just slow things down for development.
Agree, 100%. Yes, if we have like a previous review, a previous assessment, this shouldn't be necessary. So yeah, agree 100%. What other stuff is here? Let me know, Ibe, what do you want me to do?
No, I think maybe the one that I was kind of interested in, that has been discussed in a couple of places, was the DAO pricing guide. Like having this, like having this reference, prices that should help, for the pre-selection as well. What sort of cost and budgets is the DAO managing, as a standard? I guess those vary, from project to project, but I think might be necessary, important just to have reference prices. Not sure how the market goes on this one, or how do you guys, do cost allocations and ask for budgets, but I think it's kind of important, to have a reference guide of prices. Otherwise, just amounts or just numbers and not linked to anything specific. But yeah, does anyone has an insight on this?
I think it would be extremely important in order to actually get like competitive pricing out there. Right now, we don't have a lot of developers. A lot of people who enter the community, and some of them that I've talked to, they don't even know how much to charge for their projects. They don't know how to do estimation or anything like that. So maybe even like a little bit of a not a workshop, but some sort of guide to read through, some principal policies, and it changes per country and nation as well. If you're in like a North American country, you're probably going to charge significantly more than somebody who's like, in the Middle East or even Asia, or India or whatever, just off of culture and off of economic standards. It's difficult. But I think that's important to get competitive pricing, 100%.
Yep, I do think the same. I think what we should do, because I believe no one, I believe we all like this idea. We need to know or to find a way to execute it. I mean, we could like call a couple of studios and creators and 3D modelers and start like filling a template or something for this. Shouldn't like be that complicated. For example, with strategic communications, with marketing for the DAO, we are running a community content creation program with community members creating content and being compensated for that. And that's based on a pricing list, on a pricing guide for the hours, for editing videos, for creating YouTube shorts or whatever, or editing images. We should do the same with the development thing, and for that we definitely need to call the studios and our creators. So again, I believe we all agree that this is very important, because new developers do not know how much to charge, and you will see proposals that are going to be offering the same, 1 for 100K and another one for 2 200K, and it doesn't make sense because there are no reference prices. So yeah, I take this one and I try to figure out the best way of start to build this pricing guide. But yeah, it's something very important.
Yeah.
Well, let's try to arrange something for before next session. At least I know, calling the studios or something. And yes, that's something interesting too, because developing in Decentraland, maybe it's not the same as developing in other platforms. So maybe we have a different price here, and for companies that do not know what's the pricing, it's helpful. It's very helpful. So yeah, yeah, just that. Just wanted to say I will definitely take this and try to bring something before next session. Probably a meeting with or a async discussion with the studios or other creators that want to help with this. But it should be an Excel file. I mean, it's not that complicated.
No. Okay. What else we can take a look at before closing up this meeting, which was super productive? I think we covered pretty much all for this second session. Yeah, I think we're pretty good. I don't know if there is anything else am I missing. I think we covered a lot of the ground.
Yeah, I don't think we're missing something important. Please, everyone here in the audience, let me know if I'm missing something. We skipped some cards because they were related with other ones. But if I miss something important, please let me know. But if not, we are going to work on a summary for this session, start drafting some proposals if needed, and we'll share them with you. Again, some of them are already ongoing. The one for open sourcing, the self-voting one has to be promoted to a binding governance proposal too. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff here. And in terms of alignment, I believe we are reaching a good midpoint for everyone. Okay.
Okay. Thank you guys for joining, for participating. It's been an amazing call as usual. So yeah, we'll be sharing a summary and recording in the next couple of days. So thanks everyone.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.